So, good morning, everybody. I'm sorry, but Christina, I can't give you remote control because I need my screen. So I'm going to decline your request. Good morning. Welcome to our second webinar, in which we have another one tomorrow, and we had one yesterday. So I'm happy some of you returned for today's topic. So today we're talking about online platforms. Yesterday we had an introduction to help us cope with the challenge and to maybe set a positive note on everything we have to do. Today it's more technical, and there will be two hosts. One of them, it's me, Alexandra Butnaru, and for those of you who haven't attended yesterday, I'm teacher coordinator with Twinkle Star, and I'm also a class coordinator and teacher online. I volunteer with Language Beyond Borders, and I've been working with them for 2 years. So that's how I learned online teaching, by volunteering. But I also co-designed the online training for new teachers there last year. So I have some experience with online teaching. And together with us today is also my colleague Raisa, who is also working with Twinkle Star as a teacher, as an examiner, Cambridge examiner, and also who's going to finish her PhD this year. And the cool bit is that she delivers some amazing online classes using Zoom. And so she's going to guide you on that bit, which is kind of the most important part, the focus of today. Also in charge of the chat and helping us with questions that maybe we won't manage to answer, we have Simona Lozowski and Oana Martaloescu, our colleagues from Twinkle Star too. So we're quite a team. Okay, now, in the first part, I'll do the talking, and if you have any questions, please type them in the chat. And as you know, I'll mute you. I'll mute your microphones so that we don't have a lot of background noise. All right. Okay, the plan for today is we're quite ambitious in general. So just so you know, in case we don't achieve all our aims, there's a lot of information on the slides, and we'll share them with you. So don't worry. Also, if there's anything really, really important that we don't have time for, we're going to discuss it in the webinar we have tomorrow. Okay, so we're going to talk a bit about online platforms and about the two options for online teaching, which is asynchronous and synchronous e-learning. And we're going to focus on Zoom and check the most important features it has for teaching, for delivering live online classes. And we're going to play a bit with them. And we're also going to show you something that we have, and which is quite helpful in order to support your students, because they're going to struggle with using new platforms with technology too. And once we're a bit more relaxed and used to using it, we can also help them. So we're going to share with you a resource that we've designed, and also some more CPD opportunities, because in an hour and a half, it's quite hard to clarify everything. And the key point in using technology for teaching is not that we have to relearn methods or content or anything, is that we have to keep practicing, we have to keep testing, and things don't happen suddenly. So it's also about us as teachers taking charge of our learning. Okay, just a second. I'm gonna mute new participants. Okay, now, first of all, if you, oh dear, technical issues. Okay, can you see the chat? Can you see the chat box? I know some of you already have already written there, but I would be very grateful if you could share your experience with us. Like, what online platforms or what apps, what have you used for your classes in the past, recently, since we've been kind of forced to adapt in this area? Do you have a favorite? Do you have one you haven't tested maybe, or you haven't tested any but you'd like to find more about one? Depending on your participation, we can adjust and maybe we can prepare for more webinars. Okay, I'm gonna take a look at the chat too. Oh, Kahoot, yes. Kahoot can save us a lot of time and effort, and it's fun. Even it doesn't matter if you do it in the classroom or online, so it always works. Google Classroom, good. Zoom too. Well, that's really nice. So you're quite experienced already, many of you. That's really helpful. For those of you who haven't tried any platforms yet, maybe write down some names or get in touch with the people who already have for extra support. Now, I'm joking, but actually it's true that collaboration is key in this period. So working with our colleagues, sharing what we know, them sharing with us what they know. It's really important. Okay, Skype. We're gonna talk a bit about Skype too. Okay, nice. Don't worry, you can keep writing even if I move on. Excellent. So you already use Skype, join my quiz. Mentimeter, really nice. We're gonna try Mentimeter tomorrow too. That's a spoiler. Okay, great. All right. Okay, and WhatsApp. That's a really good one, and I'll share a quick anecdote, or I'll give you an example of how WhatsApp can help with teaching. Okay, now this slide, I'm recycling this slide from yesterday because it's quite important to our context at the moment. Why? Because when we talk about e-learning, remote teaching, online teaching, there are two directions in which, I mean, two areas we can cover. So one of them is synchronous learning, which is, for example, what we're doing now. It's a live webinar, and we're all here and we're interacting at the same time. Now, imagine you're having a class with 20 students and you can actually talk to them. You can ask them to type in the chat, check their answers, give them feedback. So everything is happening live. It's very similar to, in a way, a real lesson. Not a real lesson, sorry. A lesson in a traditional classroom, a face-to-face lesson. So interaction is happening live. Whereas in asynchronous learning, now this is a bit different, but it might also be useful, is when you mentioned Google Classroom, when you mentioned, I think yesterday, I don't know if you wrote it today, Edmodo. So there are some platforms where you can share, you can create groups, you can share content, a bit like Facebook or Facebook groups, which also might be helpful for some teachers. So in this case, interaction is not at the same time. So you might post a task, a worksheet, and students will have to do it in their own time or do some research in their own time. In many cases, like I was telling you about the online tutoring course yesterday, these two are mixed for better results, as in teachers might choose to have online meetings like this one, but they might also choose to set up groups where they could assign homework, quizzes, interact with students, but in their own time, not instantly. So sometimes we can go for one option, and in other cases, we might need both, or only one might be available. Let's take online courses. If you go on Coursera, for example, that they're all asynchronous. So the trainer just posted the course, uploaded the content, the videos, the tasks, everything. And then teachers, or anyway, students can join and do the course in their own time. So these two are important because they affect our choices of platforms. Okay, now talking about asynchronous. Just a second, it's okay, I'm going to meet you now, don't worry. Okay, so don't be overwhelmed by the long list of language management systems. There are a lot of options, so these are the most popular ones according to PC Magazine, but there are more, and we don't have to know them all. So these learning management systems are very often used by institutions, universities, schools, just to have things in one place. And for example, I've used Canvas when I was working for the University of Birmingham in the UK. Other universities prefer Blackboard. Moodle is open source and it's for free, but it takes some coding skills, so it's not that easy. Someone needs to set it up properly. What I am familiar with as a teacher and what I've used in the past is Edmodo, which a few years ago when it was released looked a lot like Facebook, just a bit more professional, as in more restricted interaction and various extra or fewer options and features. Yeah, and another one is Google Classroom, which many of you might already be familiar with. I quite like it because it's simple, it's straightforward, it's for free, and let's say I'm quite a big fan of the Google Suite, which is the collection of Google apps, because on one account you can have access to a lot of apps, and you can do a lot of things just by having a Gmail account and using those apps. Okay, now when it comes to these LMSs, as a teacher, you don't have to know everything. This is why maybe getting recommendations from other teachers. Check the chat. Oh, Nearpod is nice, sorry. Check the chat. We're also going to save the discussion and extract very useful ideas and share them with you too. So you're going to have access to your own contributions and to others. But again, so what you need to do is, when choosing, if you have to do it on your own, when choosing a platform, an LMS, is use Google. I mean, I use Google for, I haven't counted how many times a day, but when I'm not sure of anything, especially now with all sorts of platforms and features and so on, I just check. I just Google it. So you can take a look, for example, on PC Mag, the one I mentioned, and see some options, and they have summaries of pros and cons for each of these platforms. A good idea is for you to test it yourself. So go on it, see, does it match your needs? Would it be easy for your students to use? So how effective would it be? If you want, check more than one. That's how I did it like last year. My colleagues and I, we assigned each other one. So we took one platform, we reviewed it, and then we got together and we presented it to others, and we chose together the one that was, let's say, the best in our opinion. Okay, keep testing your choice, because even if it looks good, it looks simple, there are definitely features you don't know because we're all new at this. So there are tutorials, there are experiments you can do on your own, or you can create like I don't know, a pilot classroom, and you can test it with a colleague and see what happens if you're the teacher, if your colleague is the student, and so on. And then you should think of an easy way, a functional way of getting students into that virtual classroom where you post content. And it might be difficult, but in this period, I think we all have to be quite creative, which should not be a problem because we're teachers, but we have to think, okay, what's the easiest way of doing this? What information do I need? Do I need phone numbers? Do I need help from specialists? Do I need email addresses? It's quite messy, but once it's finished, then things go smoothly, and we need it now. Okay, so these would be some options. Like I said, Edmodo and Google Classroom are some of the most familiar to me and easy to use, popular with teachers. I wouldn't recommend Quizlet as a platform necessarily. I approach it more as a resource. So it's in tomorrow's webinar too. Okay, now when it comes to synchronous e-learning, you see some logos here, some icons. Do you recognize any of them? You probably do. Feel free to write in the chat. So these are apps, all apps for video calls. And when you have a small group, or if you have one-to-one lessons, they're quite practical because it's easy to connect. Oh, well done. Yeah, for example, the one at the bottom is one I tried using, but I couldn't. It's WeChat, the one with 2 speech bubbles, which is used in China and in many other places, but you can't use it unless someone who's already a user confirms your identity, so it's a bit complicated. But because, for example, in China, people are not allowed to use Facebook or Instagram and other platforms, it's quite restrictive. WeChat is their main. Okay, thank you, great. Yeah, so Skype is here in the free video calls, but Zoom isn't, which is quite interesting because it's our I don't know, favorite and life-saving or teaching-saving platform at the moment, and I'll show you why. So here is a brief comparison between Skype and Zoom. So it's true that Skype is it's quite stable. It's got really nice features. They kept upgrading it in the last years, and it's got some really nice stuff there, and add-ons and everything. But you need to be connected with people there, and it's not as stable when it comes to group meetings. As in, imagine I'm checking now, we're 90 people in one room on Zoom, and I think you can hear me properly, and even if we would be using video, it would still work. I wouldn't be so confident about Skype. So it's good for one-to-one calls. It's good for very small groups, but Zoom is not a free calling app. It's a conferencing, it's a video conferencing app. So it's designed differently. It's designed to resemble a real classroom more. So that's why we like it a lot. And this is why you wouldn't find it in a collection which has WhatsApp and things like that. But if you don't mind, I'm going to go a bit back to the WhatsApp bit because I promised an anecdote. A teacher friend of mine, for example, she lives in Egypt, and the connection is really poor there. So even Zoom is not an option. And so she's an English teacher, and what she told me is that there's a serious problem with students' access to free, good quality education, especially if they're girls. So what she tested last year was she created a WhatsApp group for girls who wanted to learn English. And she would post there pictures and tasks, or she'd share links and tasks, worksheets. And it was just a simple WhatsApp group, which they could use. They would send voice messages. They would communicate in their own time. She would give them feedback there too. They would interact with each other and give each other feedback. And all she used was a WhatsApp group. And it worked so well that she had more requests, and she created 2 other groups with 100 students in them. This might be quite time consuming for the teacher, as it always is. I mean, we know there's a lot of work backstage. So before we click share screen and start meeting and everything, there's a lot of planning and preparation going on. And it's the same with WhatsApp groups. There's a lot of group management going on. So it takes time. We can delegate. We can, at some point, students could help, more active students could help with moderation and so on, and replying and etc. But in cases in which, because I remember people saying yesterday, what if students don't have a good connection? What if they live in the country? Well, temporarily, this could be an option. And statistically, people do have a mobile, I mean, most people have a mobile phone. And also, we have to accept the limitations of what we're doing now. We can't help everybody. What we can do is do our best to make things work and to give opportunities, to create opportunities for learning. Okay. Now, this was the comparison. And as I was saying, Zoom is a bit more complex. Zoom is what we've been using in the last 2 weeks for all our classes at TwinkleStar. Parents are quite happy. No, they're really happy. I'm not a very, I'm not very positive in expressing myself. No, we had really positive feedback. Students are amazing during classes. Most of them, of course, we've had issues with students eating, playing something on their phone instead of focusing, but that's kind of normal. It used to happen when we'd meet in class. So this app, Zoom, which can be easily set up, and Raisa will tell you more, is what helped us, in a way, reshape our institution in the last 2 weeks. So I'm going to step down now and make Raisa host.
Okay. Hello, Alexandra. Hello, everyone.
Okay. Yes, and I'm going to stop sharing, sorry.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for what you have presented so far, and hello, everyone. I'm going to focus on Zoom now, and as you can see here, I will start with the basic, how we create a meeting, how we share the screen, and what we can share, the remote control and annotate that we can, so that we can involve our students in our lessons, and how we share the computer sound so that students can hear us better. Then I'm going to talk about breakout rooms, and I hope you will like this feature as much as I do. And in the last part, we are going to look at the settings that you have to have on your Zoom account and the support that you can offer to your students. Okay, so how do we start a meeting? There are 2 options. The easy one is to open the app, and you see here you have new meeting. You click on this button and the meeting starts. But how do you invite people? Well, you have this button here, the blue one. You click on invite and another window opens like this one. You can send the invitation through Gmail or Yahoo Mail, or simply copy the link and send it to your students. I would advise you to copy this, to copy the link, than to copy the invitation, because the invitation is long and some students don't read the entire email. But the downside is that you have to do this all the time. So when you have a class, you just go invite people and they enter your class. Or you can schedule a meeting. For instance, on Monday you have a pet class and you schedule the meeting for them, but you have to do this for all your classes. The easy way is to go on meetings. Here you have home, chat, meetings, and here at meetings you have a code, your personal meeting ID. You simply give this code to your students and you press start. Whenever you have the class, you just have to tell them to enter the hour when they have the class. For instance, if you have the class from 10 to 11, please enter from 10 or 9:55. It's easier than to create meetings all the time. Okay. A feature that Zoom has is share screen. As you can see, I'm sharing now a PowerPoint. We can share different things, and the nice thing is that we can choose what to share. For instance, a PowerPoint, a Word, the whiteboard, or even websites like Kahoot, YouTube, or whatever you want to share with them. When you press the share button is over here. It's the green one, share screen. You can't share it now because only the host can share it. But when you are the host, you just click on this button, share screen, and you choose like this what to share. Yeah, you have a file, an app, whatever you want. Also, you can write on your documents, in your files. For instance, I want to show you something. For instance, I want to share with my students this file. I click on this button. It's a PDF file. It's a signed document. I click on it and I want to write on it. Doc. Yes, and everyone sees it. Yeah. Or if I want to use the whiteboard, I share with you the whiteboard and I can write something here. Hello. Or highlight or put things like this. Yeah. I'm going to return to the PowerPoint. And I'm going to explain to you now how you can involve your students. The easy way is to find the Annotate function. And some of you, I have seen that you have already found it. It's the button over here. It's like a pencil. It's written Annotate. You have Annotate under it. And you just click it. And you will see a toolbar like this. And your students will see it. And I would like you now, I will open the whiteboard. I would like you now to write something or draw lines here. Find Annotate and just play with it. Can you do this?
Mm-hmm. For example, in my case, the Annotate, to find Annotate, I have to click on view options at the top of the screen. So it's in different places. It depends on what you're using.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Not remote control, not yet. I will show it next. Often when students find this function, they keep on writing. And you have a button, disable participant annotation. I will press it now, and now you can't write anymore. Yeah, nobody can write. I will clear it. Yeah. I'm going to show it here. Wait a minute. Okay. So it's here it is, allow participants to annotate. When I have created this image, my annotation was disabled. So you have to just press allow participants to annotate, or if you want to show to see the names of the people who play with this, show names of annotators. Okay. Another function, but it's more difficult, is to give remote control to someone. It is the mouse over here next to Annotate. You just press remote control and you choose who you want to write or to have control of the mouse and of the keyboard. I'm going to play with this a little bit. I'm going to open a whiteboard or a Word document, because I think Word is easier to use than the whiteboard. And I'm going to give control to Alexandra. Alexandra, wait a minute. Okay, now Alexandra, please move the mouse and write something. Okay. Yeah, this is Alexandra. Yeah. It's really easy, but you can share this only with one student. I think it's like calling them at the whiteboard. Yeah, I'm going to share this to stop this. Okay, and return to the presentation. Okay. Okay, a problem with online teaching is the listening part. You can offer to the students a better listening experience if you choose this, share computer sound. They would hear the sound directly. So it's next to the remote control, more here, share computer sound. And I would like to try this with you to show you the difference. I opened YouTube. This is how you hear without your computer sound. Mute you all. Okay. So this is how you hear without share computer sound.
Let's take a walk in the forest. Walking in the forest.
You hear with share computer sound.
Forest, we're not afraid.
I hope you can hear the difference. Okay. As you have seen, you can mute all the participants when you have a listening exercise. If you have background noise or children who keep on speaking, you just mute them all, and at the end of the listening activity, you unmute them all. Okay. And now we are at breakout rooms. I really like this feature of Zoom. You can use this when you want your students to work in pairs or in group works. Only group work, yes, in groups. You just press from here, breakout rooms, but you have to have this option from settings. I'm going to show you at the end of the presentation where you have to go. So you have the screen, share screen, and you have the breakout room. When you click on it, you are going to see a new window like this one. You are going to see the number of participants, for instance, 10, 20, 30, 101, how we are 101 now. And split the main room into smaller rooms. You can do this automatically, and the computer will choose who goes with who. Or if you want to do this manually, you will decide which person goes with which person. And after you have set this, you just press create rooms. If you choose the menu, this one manually, you will see this screen in front of you.
No, wait.
Wait a minute.
Hasta terminar, ¿ves?
Okay. And I will untick here, allow participants to unmute themselves. Sorry. Okay. So when you want to assign students, you press here and you choose their names. And you send them to breakout room 1, breakout room 2, and so on. So we are now all here in the main conference room. I haven't explained to you what is waiting room. I will show you at the end, so it wouldn't be too much information for you now. And when I choose the breakout room, the main room will be split into several rooms. I hope it is clear. And for things to be clearer, I would like to do now an activity with you. I will split you into several groups. You will work in groups. And I would like you to talk with the people who you will be in the breakout room. What can teachers do to relax while staying indoors and teaching online? Okay, so the question is, what can teachers do to relax while staying indoors? When you are in the breakout room, you won't see this screen. I can go in any room I want. So as a teacher, you can simply join any room you want and see how the students work together, or if they work together. Yeah? Okay, so let's try it. We are 96 now. I will create 23 rooms. You will be 4 or 5 per room. I now click create rooms and open all rooms. And now everyone, please.
Hello. You can unmute yourselves in the breakout room. If you go.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi.
Morning.
Good morning. Nice to be in a breakout room with you. How are you?
The same. Fine, thank you. Can you hear me well? I don't know if my mic is working. Good. Okay, thank you.
It's great.
It's my son's account, and that's why it writes Nikolai.
Don't worry. Yeah, we've been through this a lot, and
okay.
And the students, as in when we try to take register, for example, and we have different names depending on the account. Yes, it is challenging.
It happened to me yesterday. I was in a Zoom meeting with my students, and I was trying to find Anicia, and I couldn't find her. So where is Anicia? I knew she was here, and finally I realized it was her father's account, and she was Bogdan, in fact.
Yeah, it can happen. Look, one of the tricks with breakout rooms is that people might speak about something different.
Oh, okay, good tip. Thank you.
But there's something Raisa can't do at the moment, for example, because there are too many rooms. But when you're in a real with your students, the teacher, the host, can enter each room and leave, enter, leave. It's like monitoring, so you can check what your students are doing.
Yes, that's great. Yes. That's good. Okay, so Alexandra, hi there, Mihaela.
Mihaela.
Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to have you with us.
That's great.
Same. I'm from Suceava. Mihaela, you're from?
I'm from Iași.
Iași. Okay, that's great.
Oh, nice. I'm from Botoșani, but I haven't lived there since 2005.
I'm from Botoșani as well, but actually no. I live in Iași and I teach in Iași.
I can also start video. Well, okay, forgot about this. Hey, hi there. I think it's better. Yeah, I think it's better like this. Okay.
It's really nice to see you. I'm sorry we didn't give the video option, but I was worried about how stable the connection is because there are a lot of people using the internet and there are problems.
That's right.
Okay.
So how are you feeling? Because for us, it's been a very, very stressful period, to be honest.
Yes, it's frustrating actually, but it will be all right, hopefully.
Well, I fear this will take longer than we expect. It says we'll have 55 more seconds to go in this.
Before we go, that's a nice feature. But for example, the teacher can set in how long the breakout room closes when you want to get everybody back.
Yes. Okay. That's good.
So you can have 15 seconds or a minute.
It's the same as in a classroom. you give them time, you split them into groups and you give them time. You have 3 minutes to do this, you have 5 minutes to do this. This is great. Well, I'm grateful for this, for all these online resources, because they really save us in this period. Okay, but me too, I think everything will be all right, but it will take longer than we expect.
Yeah,
I have a friend in China teaching English there. She's been teaching English. 5 more seconds to go. She has 2 months. She's been in the house for 2 months.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay. So I see that you had some problems with the breakout rooms. Okay, I think I should have unmuted you all. It was great. Okay, Angelina, could you speak in the breakout room? Were you able to speak? We couldn't hear one another. Okay. Okay, so some says that they could, some they couldn't. I think you had to unmute your microphone. Yes, you had to unmute yourself in the breakout room. Yes, there is a chat, and in the breakout room you can share the screen. For instance, one of the students can share a page or a word. Yeah. Okay, so when you are in the breakout room, you have to unmute yourself. Yeah. I would advise you to try this with colleagues before, because you need to practice this. It's a little bit difficult, but it's really fun and it's really helpful, especially at English, when you have to work, when students have to work in pairs or in groups. Yeah? Okay. Yeah, it's really, really fun. Okay. Okay, Alexandra, you are unmute now if I muted you.
Thank
Also.
you.
Okay.
Thank you. So yeah, you were right. So when we entered the breakout rooms, we were muted, but we could unmute ourselves and switch the video on. And it was really, really nice. So it was really nice talking to the teachers there.
Okay. And what did you talk about, the ones who could hear themselves?
Well, for example, we digressed a bit. We introduced each other. And then we said, oh, look, this is how students probably do it when they're sent to the breakout rooms and they say, oh, we can speak in Romanian now.
Yes.
But it was really nice. And we talked about the fact that when you have fewer groups, as in here, there are a lot of participants, but in a regular classroom, the host, the teacher, can enter each room in turns and monitor, see what students are doing.
I entered some rooms. I saw that some students, some teachers don't speak.
They weren't on task.
Yeah.
It's common in the traditional classroom too, so it's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So it just needs practice. Yeah, you need to practice this. Okay. Moving on, we have the chat, but I have seen that you know how to use it. You keep on writing here. What is nice here is that you can send the file to everyone. For instance, you have created a handout and you want to give the handout to your students. Or if the breakout room is too much for your students, you can ask your students to work in pairs, but not in groups, with the help of the chat. You can change from here. You have to everyone can see what you write, and you can change to the person next to you or whoever you want to speak to. Yeah? Okay. And now we are at settings. To change the settings of your account, you have to follow this link and sign into your account. And after you sign, you will see something like this. You click on settings, and then you choose what you want to use and what you don't want to use. Here, for instance, at audio type, I would strongly advise you to have telephone and computer audio, because some of the students have problems with their microphone. And this one, join before host, it is okay if you let it on at the beginning before you gain some experience with Zoom. But if you have it on, anyone can enter your room, your meeting. So that's why I didn't choose this one, but you will see in a bit. Also, requiring a password is too complicated at the beginning. You will receive this PowerPoint presentation and you will see better all these settings. Sharing screen is very important to be on. And who can share? Only the host. If you let all the participants to share, everyone will share, and maybe you can't properly do your lesson. File transfer to send your files through chat. The chat option. Play sound if you want to hear when someone enters the room. Annotation, it's very important to be on in order for your students to write, and the whiteboard. And the remote control, what I did with Alexandra. Yeah, breakout rooms, here it is. If you want to have this option, you have to go to settings and click on this, the breakout room. Okay, and here, the waiting room. If you don't want anyone to join your class, you click on this one, waiting room, and you first see the names of the people who enter, and then you allow them to enter the meeting. And email notifications. Okay, so you will see them better when you receive the PowerPoint presentation. Okay. Now, we are at the end. In these last weeks, we have received several questions from our students. We have gathered them here. The site is in Romanian. So you can send it to your students, read these questions and their responses. And maybe it would help you. Okay. And also, here you have some useful link if you want to read more about some of the features that Zoom have. Okay. So now I will let Alexandra tell you more. I will make her the host. Okay, Alexandra, now you are the host. Stop share. Yeah. Your microphone. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Host privileges. I can unmute myself. Thank you.
Yeah.
If any of you would like to be unmuted at some point, maybe try. I'm not sure I'll be able to see it. That's one thing you have to keep in mind when you teach on Zoom, that it's a lot of multitasking going on. So where's my presentation? What website am I using? What am I trying to show? Oh, the chat, someone wrote. So I might miss it, but if you really want to be unmuted, write in the chat box or raise your hand if you find the raise your hand button. And yeah, thank you a lot, Raisa. So Raisa's been using a lot of features and has been using the breakout rooms creatively and doing mock speaking exams and all sorts of things I haven't tried. So for example, I've been using Zoom for 2 years, but I only tried breakout rooms 2 weeks ago. So the thing is, I think that's one of the tips, and that's how we've done it at first with all the teachers in our school. We learned gradually. So we started with the simple bits. So what is essential? Screen sharing is essential. The chat is essential. Okay, then slowly we added, okay, breakout rooms. So we kept adding one feature every time, but we didn't try everything from the first time. So it might be overwhelming for you. So keep it simple at the beginning. Like we were talking yesterday, except that some things will not work. You might not be able to find some buttons, some, I don't know, keys on the screen, and so on. And some things might not work. You might have a power cut. Zoom errors sometimes because there are so many users at the moment. But now you can see why there are so many users, because it is a good tool. But yeah, keep it simple. And someone was mentioning that they need guinea pigs. Yeah, we all need guinea pigs, and we need to be, in a way, because we are the guinea pigs. And yeah, anyway, so we need, that didn't sound right. Never mind. We do need to work together, and we need to practice before using things in class. Or if our students are older, they could help us. And I've had moments when I said, oh dear, I don't know where to press. And the student, because they were more relaxed and they weren't multitasking, they say, oh, check your bottom left corner, it's there. Oh, thank you. And they love to help, and they know we're all human. And it works. So I think these are the times when we have to be patient, to accept imperfection as being human, okay? And then another important thing, because I remember yesterday some people writing and me talking about this phrase, I'm not good with technology, which I know it's true, but I don't know if I'm good with technology. I don't understand how a basic radio works. So if you ask me to explain how a very, very old device works, I don't know. Like, I read on Wikipedia at some point, but I still don't get it, because I'm not good with technology. But in our context, it's not about this. It's about having a growth mindset. You know, it's about having that, it's about attitude. So I'm not good with technology. I've never done this before. I'm not happy about it, maybe. Maybe I'm enjoying it because I learn new things. Maybe I don't, but it is what it is. And I'm not scared of challenges. That's what a growth mindset is. Whereas a fixed mindset is when students say, I can't do this. Isn't that, how do you feel as teachers when students say, I don't know how to do this. I don't want to do this. This is too hard. And would you advise them to have that kind of attitude? Now, transfer this to our situation at the moment. It is hard. It's easier for some. It's more difficult for others. We're all different. But it's about attitude. It's about this, what does this button do? That's the thing, in my opinion and in my experience. And I know 70-year-old teachers who started teaching online, for example, last year, and they learned, and they're great. And you know what's important and what makes them good online teachers is that they're good English teachers. So it's not about their tech skills. It's still about their teaching skills. Okay, now, I got distracted a bit. Okay, I'll share my screen in a moment when I find the right button, definitely. So I was saying that there are 2 platforms for asynchronous learning. Okay, I'll share right now. Okay, so one of them is Google Classroom, and the second one is Edmodo. The ones I'm more familiar with, and the ones that I've used either as a student when I was doing teacher training courses online, or as a teacher with my students. So I'm going to, can you confirm in the chat that you can see, for example, Edmodo now? Thank you, thank you. So again, it's important to check with the people, with your students. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Am I showing you what I really want to show you? Because it's confusing. Okay, so yeah, this is Edmodo. It's for free. And it changed a lot. It was upgraded a lot in the last years. So like I was saying, it used to look like Facebook and it wasn't very popular. But at the moment, it has a lot of tools for teachers. It provides, look, webinars on virtual field trips for distance learning. And there are others. So there are all sorts of webinars and they're trying to support teachers as much as they want. Now, here, as you can see, you can have your profile. I'm not going to show you everything because in my experience, like I said, I did coding, programming for 2 years in secondary school. And after 2 years of coding, I didn't know how to turn on a PC. I didn't know what to do with the computer, with a real computer. So this thing about technology is that you have to try it yourselves, and it will be fine. Okay, so you have your profile, which is, mine isn't complete. Anyway, you can create classes, and in your classes, you have a lot of options. First of all, let's see, you have posts, which will appear in the main window. It still looks a bit like Facebook, isn't it? Folders, if you organize if you want to upload handouts or the materials you create or anything, it's good to keep them organized. It might not seem important at the beginning, but in my experience with working online and teaching online, at some point there's a lot of content uploaded. And if you don't start from the very beginning organizing your materials, at some point it might be overwhelming. But it really depends on each teacher's personality. I'm not the most organized person. And then let's see, members. So you could have, you can add students, and they ask you, because it has more safety options, it asks you for the first name, last name, and email, and they have to create an Edmodo account too. And I'm going to check later, but the teachers already using Edmodo, if you have any tips, anything that you like about it, that you think our fellow teachers should know, please write it in the chat and we'll share that too. Yeah, so you can add members, you can create more classes. When you have a new post, you can choose, you can attach files, images, you can have your own library with uploaded materials, and you can do a lot of things. If you don't have time, or let's say I wanted to say traveling, I'm sorry, but no, let's say you're very busy with something else on a day, and but you'd like a certain post, let's say an assignment, homework, to be posted on Sunday at 10 a.m. and you tell them that you want them, this is the time when they'll have to do it, and you want them to upload their homework by 12 p.m., for example. You can schedule your posts. You can create polls and all that. Then, apart from the thing that you can post, you can add files, you can interact with students, they can comment, they can reply, you can moderate the discussion board under a post. And again, it all takes time. you decide what's relevant and what you can do and how much time you have for this. Okay, so here you can personalize the thing and again, invite people option and more settings. And wait, here you can send quizzes and assignments because assessment is tricky when you teach online. But in this matter, both Edmodo and Google Classroom allow you to create polls, quizzes, so multiple choice. I'll show you in a moment how Google Form works. Okay, so Edmodo would be one thing, and there's a lot of content on it, and the teacher community is really nice. There are groups of teachers who share resources. You can integrate the calendar. There's an Edmodo planner, and so on. It takes a bit of time to get used to it and discover the features you need. But again, you don't have to check all the platforms, just the ones that might be relevant to you, like not the 10 platform list from the first one of the slides at the beginning. Okay. Now, if you have questions about Edmodo or if there's something we can help with, personally, I'm not, as you can see, it's blank. I'm not using it at the moment because we focus on synchronous lessons. And so our main emphasis, as you could see, is on Zoom. But feel free to give it a try. It's reliable, it's nice, it's designed for teachers. And I know that many of you have been researching Google Classroom, which is this one. And in some cases, I mean, it's also free. All you need is a Gmail account. You might need your student's address, or let's see, let's enter a classroom. For example, this one here on the right wasn't created by me. It was created by a teacher in France. I was coordinating for online, and she showed me what she was working on with her students. Okay, so this is a classroom. I might need, so I can either invite, I'll show you students via email, and I could just copy paste their email and send them invites and they have to accept it, or they enter Google Classroom and they look for the class they need using the code, but you need to find a way of sharing the code with them and them typing it correctly. Okay, so again, it's a simple, clean discussion board at the beginning. So share something with your class, and then I can choose which class do I want to share something with. Do I want all students to see it, or do I want just one student to see it? Maybe they forgot to, I only have one student who's our support host on the chat, Juana. Okay, I can't show you my real classrooms on the other account I have, just for, there's still this thing with GDPR. So we have to be careful with sensitive data, with giving access to student names, email addresses. It's a bit tricky. And as you'll see, I try to take extra measures when I will be showing you the Google form. Okay, so you can send things, you can attach documents. You can, here, if you choose file, you upload something from your computer. It could be on your Google Drive, which again, Google Drive has been, which is a storing, it's like the Google Cloud, where you can store PDFs, all sorts of files, pictures, videos, and so on. And it's for free with a 15 giga limit, which should be quite enough. It depends on how you use it. So you can share a lot of things, and students can comment, they can react to your post. Good. Then there's the classwork. So the stream looks like a discussion board. classwork, now here you have plenty of options, and to be honest, it depends on how much time you have. You can create your own assignments, you can transfer, let's say, unit tests you had in the course book or that would come with the course book, and adapt them and use content and create your own assignments and quizzes. But at the same time, it might be too time consuming. So it's useful to, like I said, to be creative and to remember that there are already a lot of resources online. We just have to Google them to look for what we need, depending on the student's level, topic, aims, and so on. So in this matter, we might not find perfect materials created by other teachers. But again, perfection is not our aim. Supporting students' learning in a difficult period is our priority. And so we might just have to choose, okay, maybe this quiz I found on, well, sometimes even Kahoot is good for, it's fun, but it's also good for assessment. But there are resources online we can use, and when we don't have time to create the perfect test. A good idea, for example, if you do want to create the perfect test, is to collaborate with your teacher friends, with your colleagues, and you could split content or topics, and you could share materials. I think in this period, I mean, imagine if all of us were, anyway, we're quite a few at the moment logged in, but imagine that right now, if we split, I don't know, a unit from a course book and we'd adapt it for our online lesson, I think we could finish it. I mean, we could adapt a course book in less than 2 hours. So that's the power of collaboration. And you can collaborate with the people who work in your school or with other teacher friends, share your materials. This is not the right time to be worried, I don't know, about, to be possessive with our ideas and so on. It's the right time just to help each other. So collaboration, sharing. And we do this a lot at school, like, this is what I made, maybe it's useful. Again, there's another danger with organization, so you might not be able to find it. So when you create materials, I know it's really basic, but it's something I have to keep reminding myself of. Save the document with a clear title, organize them in the right folders. And it is basic, but it's basic. Okay, so in terms of classwork, you can give students feedback on their work. Okay, so when it comes to people, look, I can track my students / teachers' individual progress, see how that's like, but see it with real students. In this case, look, in this case, it's true that you can't really test it on your own, unless your teacher friends who are their students would like to do a mock assignment and see how it goes. Okay. If you post assignments for your students, you can also grade them. So it might help you keeping track of their progress. All right. Okay, so this would be Google Classroom. Many teachers say it's too simple. Personally, I like it precisely because of that, because it's simple. Because when you want to be efficient, a simple platform is really, really nice. I mean, someone else might say, oh no, design your own classroom on Moodle, which would mean years of coding for us and learning coding. So that's not realistic. In order to achieve our objectives, they have to be realistic. Okay, now, for since I was talking about Google, And as you can see, Google Classroom. Okay, quick check. Can you see my slide? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Excellent. So when I have my browser open, and if you open your own browser, and I do recommend using Google Chrome, especially if you want to use the Google Suite, which is the whole collection of apps. So if you see, if you take a look at the top right of the screen, well, there's a grid, and you have to scroll down a bit, and then you find all these apps. And what I would like you to do is share in the chat. Have you used any of them? What for? I'm going to take a look at the chat too. So what have you used them for? Have you personally used them? For example, years ago when I had more free time, I would blog, and I did use the Google platform for blogging. Okay, how do you use Google Docs? What do you do with Google Docs? Great. Google Drive. Yes, it's what's really, so imagine Google Drive as a pen drive, a memory stick you have, but you never lose it. So you can log in to your Google Drive account from any device, be it mobile or laptop, PC. So you don't have to carry things with you. You do need an internet connection, but you don't have to worry about, oh no, what if I lose this pen drive? What if I forget it? Yeah, and it's easy. It's really easy to keep it organized. Yeah. So when you don't have time and you have a project or you have to write something together, I don't know, a formal email for the Ministry of Education saying how supportive they are, a thank you email. Yeah, sorry. Then many people can enter the same Google document and write there. Slides, excellent. For example, Raisa and I used Google Slides so we could work in the same, on the same presentation, but managing our bits the way we split them. Slides works too. Feedback, really nice. Yeah. Thank you, Karina. We recommend Google Drive too. Thank you. So you're already familiar. Okay. So there's Google Docs for collaborative documents. They don't have to be collaborative, but think of it like this. Instead of you write a document on Google Docs. So online, you don't need to install any apps, but for your mobile, if you want to check them on your mobile too, you need to install the apps separately. So Google Drive, Google Docs, and so on. Let's say you write a document and you'd like other colleagues to have access to it. You can either choose, there's a link you can find to share it. You have a sharing function there. So you can share it via link, or you can add them to the document using their email address. And that's super simple. That's easier than, let's say, writing in Google Docs, downloading the document, writing an email, attaching the file to your email, and receiving replies. So it keeps things in one place. Yeah, and it's the same for. So these they create the opportunity for collaboration. Google Docs for also, if you don't have a Microsoft Office, then it means you can just go on Google Drive, use these apps, and their free replacements. So for presentations, Google Slides, it's there. For to keep things organized or make notes, instead of an Excel document, you can use Google Sheets. And again, everybody can participate. Okay, there's Google Forms, and apart from maybe many of you using it for their own reasons, you've already used a Google form to register for the webinars. So as you've seen, you had different types of questions. I'll show you in a bit. We'll get back to the form in a bit. Okay, so there's Duo for video calls. There's Keep for the organizer. Has any one of you used Jamboard? Because I only discovered it recently. So I'll show you Jamboard too. Okay. Yeah, and there's the blogging thing. So I would recommend, I think it's a good time for blogging in a way. On Blogger, you could have a common blog for all students in a class or for all your students where they write short articles as often as you want them to or when they feel like it. And it might be a good time for writing too, writing about their experience now. Maybe they don't have many people to talk to. They're not socializing as much. It's also difficult for those of us who are parents probably to have that interaction energy. So maybe Blogger helps, I don't know. But I do have friends, for example, who are also volunteer teachers, and they used it with their students for journaling. So students would use the blog as a personal diary, well, not writing things they wouldn't normally share, but it was a nice way of putting things on virtual paper, let's say. So Blogger is a good idea, either individually or for groups. And it takes more time, but students, it could be their project, like setting up their own blog, and you don't have to do much, just praise them if they do a good job. Okay, now I'm going to show you a bit. What did I say? First, the Google form. This is very similar to what you filled in, but this is for the students we have at Twinkle Star. We provide free Kahoot sessions every day to keep them busy and to keep them engaged. So what they would get, like you had, is if you take a look and if you enter it, that's how you're going to see it. So there's a different view. As a participant, you can't edit the document. But if you check the types of questions, you can add. Let's see, what types of tasks would you have in a test? Open-ended questions, maybe, if you want, multiple choice, check boxes, drop down, and so on. You can upload audio files, pictures, if you want them to describe pictures. There's a lot you can do with Google Forms. So they're very good for assessment, especially if it's multiple choice and you set the right answers. For short answers and paragraphs, it might take longer. Okay, now, as I was saying, this is what you see when you set up your own form. And it's in the same grid at the top right corner of your browser. Okay, you also get a collection of responses. So how do I know who I'm going to send the link to the videos, the PowerPoint presentations, and the chat contributions? Well, I will have the responses, and there's an option to open it in Sheets, which means I'm going to get something like an online Excel document where I see all the contributions. If we're doing it for assessment, it could be us seeing students' answers. And we could grade them. We could give them feedback. If it's open-ended, feedback on writing. If it's multiple choice, we could tell them what their score is, and so on. So this is Google Forms, and it's really simple to use. I'm not going to make it more complicated. I'm just going to show you that, well, here you can add questions and you add it. You just click on a new Google form. Here you click if you want to change the name. You can change it easily. It's not what I wanted to do, but I will change it back in a moment. Here you can customize the theme. This is a special button with add-ons because I use some add-ons, for example, to make sure that people who fill in a form, they get an email. This is what I use. I use form notifications. I installed it separately. This is if you want to see what students see before you send it, before you give them the link, you can preview it. Here there are some settings, as in you can choose to collect email addresses to know exactly who's answering. You can ask them, I mean, not ask them, you can tick the box so students can only submit one response, or you can adjust the editing option. Okay. You have settings for everything. And then the quiz one. Take a look, see how it works. And to send it, you just click on send. And it's very similar to Zoom or any other app in the Google Suite. Via email, an easy option for me is shorten the link, copy, paste it, and just send it. And this is a bit too technical, so I'm not going to speak about it because I'm not confident now. Okay, so this would be Google Form. And I said there's one more thing I would like to show you. So Google Apps, what have we got here? A lot of things. Okay, a lot of things. If you can't see Google Forms here, I'll show you how to find it. Let's see. You go on your Drive. Oh, okay. You go in your Google Drive folder here, and you click on New. And here you can choose what you create. A lot of things. And the forms is this one. Okay, so what's new, and it's really user-friendly, is the Jamboard app, which allows you to create another whiteboard on which your students can still annotate. But if you feel it's more user-friendly than the Zoom whiteboard, feel free to use this one, even if you're on Zoom. So different types of pen, you can clear it, you can select stuff, sticky notes, like you see the ones at the top, the colorful ones, add pictures, and laser if you want to point students to where you want them to look or what you want them to focus on. So it's quite a user-friendly board. That's how it goes. Sticky note. It's really nice. Okay, so we already have at least 2 interactive whiteboard options. All right, and I'll show you this back again. Anyway, feel free to test anything you feel it's relevant. But to keep it simple, it's probably Zoom and Google Classroom or Edmodo or another similar platform. You should focus in the very beginning. Okay, now there are a few things where you can find, there are a few places where you can go and find out more. So some of them are massive open online courses, MOOCs. They're courses designed by serious institutions, they're for free. For example, Teaching English Online, the first link is designed by Cambridge Assessment. It's on Future Learn. There are many other courses there, but that's probably, and it started 3 or 4 days ago, so you can still enroll. It's a very good one. It's simple, it's straightforward, it's helpful. And it's for free unless you really want a certificate, in which case you have to pay around 50, 60 euros I'm not sure, but you can check on the platform. Really, really, really nice. There's another one delivered by the Open University, Take Your Teaching Online. There's another link here we're going to share with you with teachers. There are some, as you know, in our field, there are some famous speakers, trainers, or people we admire for their input. I don't know, people who think of Jim Scrivener, or I don't know. I'm really bad with names when I'm stressed, so I'll just stop there. So, but in the online teaching world, there are also a lot of professionals who've been writing materials in the past years, and they're really, really good. So there's this link, Teaching ESL Online, where you can find 19 professionals who share their blogs, articles, ideas, anything. The picture here, bottom left, is from the Cambridge, from the Future Learn course, with extra recommendations. In terms of names, as you can see here, bottom right, I checked the International House Journal, where they have a really nice article written by Nikki Hockley and Lizzie Clanfield. And these are two very good trainers that, and I mean, personally, by reading their blogs and watching their videos, maybe on YouTube, you could find some, I've learned a lot. So there's a lot of information out there. We think we've cherry-picked what's really, really relevant, but then there's still a lot of work to do. And fortunately or unfortunately, it's an individual or a peer group task, this one. You have to try them on your own. And don't give up. Resilience is very, very important. Patience, resilience, and staying as positive as possible. And doing those things you talked maybe in the breakout rooms about, the things that relax you, because it's a stressful period for both teachers and students. Okay, now I think we managed to not go over the time limit, which is quite an achievement. Oh, someone raised their hand, just a second. So we have recorded the webinar from yesterday and the one from today. We'll have to edit it. Feel free to type any other questions or any feedback you have for us. What's your takeaway? How do you feel? And so on in the chat box. I'm going to try and unmute someone, but I'm really struggling as a host. You see, it's still difficult after years. What I wanted to say is that tomorrow we're going to try some practical activities. We're going to show you some really good websites where you can find resources just to save time, because we've already done the searching bit. And if you have anything extra, please share, and we'll share it with everybody in this, well, in this community, I suppose. I'll try to unmute you. Okay, let's see how do I do this? Okay. I'm going to allow you to unmute yourselves, because, okay, so unmute. Liliana, you're unmuted if you want to say something.
I want to thank you for everything.
Thank you very much.
It was very nice and complete.
Very useful information. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything.
It's really nice, and you're welcome tomorrow if you have time and you want to join, and we're going to play some online games and play some online interaction tomorrow.
All right.
See you tomorrow.
See you.
See you.
Have a
Thank
good
you
day.
so much. See you tomorrow.
There's one question I would like to answer in the chat before we go and everything is clear. Zoom used to have a 40-minute limit. I mean, unless you pay for the free accounts. In this, like last week, they posted online, Google it, they removed the time limit for school accounts. So if your school is having has its own domain, as in our case, we applied with alexandra.putnaru@twinklestar.ro, they removed the limit for us. So the 40-minute limit, I'm not sure if they still use it for Gmail or Yahoo accounts. So if you register on Zoom with your Gmail or Yahoo, they say they don't, but I know many teachers didn't see that limit recently. It's just because they've taken measures to help everybody using it. They know what's going on. Yeah, so that's the question. If there are any other questions, I will check the chat box that I missed. Okay, thank you again.